Welcome back. In the previous class, we have discussed everything about the fundamental unit of nervous system, which is the neuron. In this class, we will continue our discussion on nervous system to grab the overall ideology behind nervous system. So look at this, nerves. Nerve is equal to many neurons combined together. System means composition, structure, system. We want to study their composition, structure, as well as function. That is to say, in nervous system, what we are interested in is studying the what? Composition, structure, as well as function. Now, the highest level organism, nervous system, consists of three parts, interconnected and working as a whole. The sensory, which is the receptor, the central processing unit, as well as the effector, the one that will receive the effect of the signal. Now, the sensory receptor that detects the stimulus from the external and internal environment does act as what? Formation collector. The central processing unit, the brain and spinal cord, that send out the instruction to the appropriate part of the organism based on the signal that is received. And so the last one is effector, are the parts of the organism that received nerve impulse from the brain. This part act according to the instructions received from the brain. These actions may be for muscle contraction, relaxation, or enzyme secretion, or hormone secretion. You can now see that every signal that is received actually may end in triggering some particular process. And what the process that will be triggered depends on the type of signal that is received. Sorry, we have to confirm something. Okay, we are there. Now, in the previous lecture, we showed us this, that this is the what? The different type of nervous system. Now, the structural component of nervous system enable you to carry out the following information, these functions. Number one, collection of information about change in the organism environment, process information, and act to that particular information. The central nervous system. The central nervous system now, we are not coming to talk about central nervous system. You know that we have talked about neurons. So the neuron come together to form all these jargons of the nervous system. The nervous system divided into what? Central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. In this class, we are going to look into what? Central nervous system. This is what this class is for. Central nervous system. The central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Please, if I am too fast, the video can allow you to speed me down. Look at your video and look at the speed of the play mode. The brain plays a central role in control of most bodily functions, including awareness, movement, sensation, thought, speech, not only human being, and other living organisms. And you can see the reason why a snail will move away if you shine light on it. Some reflex movement that take place within a very short moment of time. You won't notice it because it's very short. Can occur via spinal cord pathway without the participation of the brain structure. Brain may not be aware of the feet. That's the reason why you and your spinal cord is very, very important. Everything that you do, the movement of your fingers, the blink of your eyes, the movement of every part of your body, coordinate system of every part is strongly tied to the spinal cord. I use these moments to sympathize with people that might have, in one way or the other, lost the total functionality of their spinal cord. The spinal cord is connected to a section of the brain called the brainstem. This is a very important point. So if you don't know that your brain has stem called brainstem, that is the point that your spinal cord is connected to. Your spinal cord is connected to the brainstem and run through the spinal canal, the vertebral column, that bone. The white tissue inside it is called the spinal cord. It is not a bone, it's a soft tissue. But those bones are very strong in order to protect it from damage. So therefore, anything that can destroy those bones can destroy that cord. Okay? Cranial nerve exits the brainstem. Cranial nerve exits the brainstem. What's the meaning of cranius? Means skull. Every nerve that innervates into the skull of your head, they come from the what? From the stem cell. Sorry, they exit from the stem cell. All those cranial nerves, they will exit from the stem cell into everywhere in your body and into everywhere in the organism body, not only you. Nerve root exits the spinal cord to both sides of the wall of the body. You remember that woman that I show you? That is spinal cord, and every nerve fiber emanated out from the spinal cord like that, left and right. So that person like that, it will bend away, and the brain is like that. The spinal cord carries signal back and forth between the brain and the peripheral nervous system because spinal cord, it is the middleman between your brain and the peripheral nervous system. But there are too many things that is associated with our brain. Now, these are some important points that you need to know concerning the brain. Cerebrospinal fluid surround the brain and the spinal cord and also circulate within the cavity called ventricle of the central nervous system. The point of takeaway in this place is cerebral spinal fluid, cerebrum, the brain and the spinal cord fluid. The two names, the word cerebral is called another. Let me tell you something about brain. If you see the word encephalion, encephal is head. En means inside. Something that is inside the head is the brain. So they can refer to the brain as encephalion. It also means brain. But the brain have sections: cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata. They are the three major parts, but not the only. We are going to look at them one by one. So, the cerebrospinal fluid, it is the fluid that flows in the ventricles, the ventricles, the cavity. It flows around the brain and the spinal cord, and it is the one that is giving us cushion effect and prevents us from shock. The leptomeninge surrounding the brain and spinal cord. Lepto means very light or tiny. Men, inches. There are three meninge. In the meninge, there is men. In the meninge, there is what? Men. Followed by what? INGES. Meninges. These meninge, they are membrane-like structures that protect the brain. There are three of them. You are going to see them. The cerebrospinal fluid circulates between two meninge layers. The first one is pia mater, the next one is arachnoid mater, and the last one is dura mater. DURA. Pia mater, arachnoid mater, as well as dura mater. These are the three meninges that surround the brain. Meningitis is a very delicate disease, effect of the brain, that cause those meninges to be swelling up. and it can lead to death if it is not attended to immediately. The outer, thicker layer serves as the role of protection, shield, and is called the Dura Mater. Dura Mater, Pia Mater, Arachnoid Mater. DPA, that is the order. The innermost is the what? Arachnoid. And the fluid is flowing in between PA. The fluid is flowing, the cerebral spinal fluid is flowing in between PA, which is what? Arachnoid matter as well as Pia matter. So the cerebral spinal fluid is flowing between PA. The basic unit of central nervous system is the neuron. We know that. Billions of neurons allow the different parts of the body to communicate with each other via the brain and spinal cord, which is the central nervous system. A fatty material called myelin coats nerve cells. It's called myelin coats the nerve cell to insulate them and allow nerve to communicate quickly. We have seen myelin sheath, and we have seen what secretes the myelin sheath, which is what Schwann cells. So this is the two diagram section of the brain separately. We are going to look at the diagram to know every part, and later we can see the function of each part. So, the overall section of the brain is divided into lobes. We have the frontal lobes, we have the parental lobes, the one the center of your brain. This junction, there are sensory and the motor nervous in this junction here. This is foci, this is sulci. The line and sulci, the structure of foci, don't worry about that. I think they can ask you for that. This is temporal lobes. This is occipital lobe. Let us now look at each lobes as well as their function. This is the function of the brain with respect to the lobe system. Take your pen, function of the brain with respect to the lobe system. Frontal lobes, what does it do for you? It's one that enables you to think, speak, give you memory as well as movement. So, in this case, you have MST, memory, movement, speaking, and thinking. The next one, it is the what? Parental lobe. You can know this thing by put them into letter, but what you should know is that there are 5 major lobes. Are you getting me? There are 4 major lobes. 4 major lobes. The other is not part. It's just part of the brain. Frontal, parental, temporary, and occipital. I heard about all these lobes when I was around primary 5. Yes, when I was primary 5. This my teacher that actually triggered the science interest in me, Mrs. Young Okoko. She's the first teacher that tell us about this lobe system when I was in primary 5, all this integrated science course. But then we don't know actually, we are learning, but we don't know actual science what we are doing, but we just know that, okay, they are part of our brain, of our head. But today, you should know where they are in your body, and whenever you touch them, you should be able to know what they are doing for you. The parental lobe is for language and touch. Every day you are learning, conscious or unconscious. Unconscious learning, it is the one that we see to be very simple. But conscious learning, you have to put much more effort. And the parts that give you the power to learn, it is the frontal lobe, because it's connected with what? With your memory. Occipital lobe is the one that is behind the eyes and enable you to see color, any vision, it pertains to your vision. it pertains to your vision. If you want to perform experiment on brain and their function, what you can do is this: go and get a frog. That frog use very powerful, you don't have chloroform, I know. If you want to sedate the frog, but I'm so sorry that you are going to sacrifice this frog. You take the frog, you can sedate it by destroying the spinal cord. How are you going to destroy the spinal cord? Find a very tiny pin. Some people can use a whole nail if they want to do vigorous destruction. Use that pin to puncture the spinal cord all around. Make sure that you rotate it very well. At a particular point in time, drop the frog will not be able to move anymore, because you have disconnected the overall connection of that frog. So there won't be any vigorous movement. You cannot take a sharp blade or if you have a scalpel, dissection set is very good. Carefully open the skull of the frog to expose the brain, and take a pencil, HB pencil, the bottom of the pencil. Take the bottom of the pencil, and I think the experiment is not going to be very sensitive because you have disconnected the whole frog. But if you want it to be sensitive, the frog is going to perform a vigorous movement with you. You have to struggle. So what you need to do is to struggle to open the skull, and when you open the skull, without destroying the spinal cord, please, this time around, touch every part of the brain with the pencil. The part that is connected to every part of the body, you will be seeing it as you are touching the part of the brain. This is how some scientists come to know that every part of the brain is directly or indirectly connected to every part of our body. You can go on with the experiment. It is very interesting, please. The temporal lobes. It is the side where your hair is located. So automatically, if you're slapping your hair, you are slapping your temporal lobe region. Everything that I have to do with hair, the basic two things is hearing and balance. Hearing and balance. You should know that your temporal region is giving you that, including the feeling. The brainstem, it's one that enables you to what? It enables you to breathe. It's concerned with the brainstem. You can see the brainstem. You can see the color. You can see the color. You can see the brainstem. So this is the thing that is connected to the spinal cord. Okay. Look at the cursor. So it is the one that is connected to the spinal cord. This is what called brainstem, and it is the one that enables you to breathe very well, and you feel your heartbeat as well as body temperature. This is the cerebellum. Cerebellum, the small brain. It concerns with the balance, coordination. But the problem is this. This one is hearing, learning, feeling, and this part should also be concerned with balance, because it is located in the hair region, because our hair is concerned with balance. But majorly, what recognize your balance? Please, this point is very, very important. Cerebellum enable you to maintain your balance. If you don't pick anything at all, this point is very, very important. Examiner, do not joke with it. So this is another one. Let me bring this one to vision. This is another one. But this time around, look at all this diagram here. If you take all of this one out, it will remain all this white tissue of the brain. So all this one here, the whole of this large entity structure of white is the cerebrum. So if you look at the cerebrum, let me try to take my ink so that we can see what we want to extract out of the system. So look at this one. Extract this one out. Extract this one out. No, it doesn't include that. Okay. Extract that one out. Okay. So let me take my another pen, color maybe blue, and let us try to move out this one as well. You see that small section, including this. Okay, moving it out like that. So you can now see the two sections of the brain. The overall larger one in the black, in the dark ring ink, is the cerebrum. We have cerebellum, we have medulla oblongata. Sorry. Okay, this is our cerebellum that is concerned with balance. Look at the medulla oblongata. Look at where it is. So the oblongata is along the same side as the stem cell, as the brainstem. So this is the brainstem. In the brainstem, you can see pons varoli as well as medulla oblongata. Now look at this particular region here in dark pink. So this is known as ventricle, the region through which that particular fluid move about. They are known as ventricles. So there is first ventricle, third ventricles, and all those ventricles like that. Are you getting me? But the system of ventricles, they are this one. You can see the line of the cursor. So aside from that, on the top, like a small cap, this particular pink, you can see the line of the cursor. They attach the pituitary glands. In the pituitary gland, there is what we call hypothalamus. Something that is beyond. We have thalamus. So the body diagram is not strong enough. When we get to those thalamus system, we are going to give you a better one that will enable you to see the relation position. So we have the midbrain. This is the overall midbrain that consists of a brainstem, the medulla oblongata, as well as what pons varoli. We have the hindbrain that consists of cerebellum. Are you getting me? And we have the forebrain that consists of what? Cerebrum. So we have what we call corpus callosum. That is the fiber tissue that connects the two hemispheres of the cerebrum. We have two brain sections. So there is a connector called corpus callosum. That is, corpus means body, callosum means it call them together, combine them together. So you have seen the sexual lobe of the brain as well as their function, and I believe you have written it down. So this is a large giant entity of the part of the brain as well as their different functions that they can perform. Are you getting me? So we take it from the top above, which is the frontal lobe. Frontal lobe concerned with personality, movement, speech, remember, memory, joy, so intelligence, memory, movement, speech, speech, as well as talking. So we have temporal lobe that has to do with memory, music, perception, speech, hearing. The temporal lobe, that is what? Temporal region of your brain, that is about that middle place of the brain. So let me go back to this. The temporal region, this one here in the blue. So that consists of what? So that have to do with what? Your speech, the what you think, your speech, and also language recognition. So object recognition, understand language. So this one is there. Now you're getting me. This one is there. language, speech, as well as what it also has to do with memory. This one also to do with largest memory and intelligence. Okay. So we have thalamus region of the brain, so spatial attention, then maybe to know your surrounding, maybe you are bending, maybe you are moving, maybe you stand straight, or as well as sleepiness, alertness. It has to do with what? Thalamus. Basal ganglia, memory. So all these things are part of the middle brain, which consists of pons varoli, medulla oblongata, as well as what? To the brainstem. So they are part of the middle brain. We have occipital lobe, so the one for the sight. You remember the one at the back of your eye. So we have for the side. We have cerebellum, which is major balance and learning. Are you getting me now? So keep the balance. It's very important. Emotional regulation and what? Coordinate movement. We have the brainstem, breathing, heartbeat. You can see that it still repeats the same thing as what we have in previous, but this one is too complicated. That's the reason why I gave you this particular small one. With this, you can remember the section of the brain as well as their function. So this is the brain open to enable you to see all the matters. Okay, so this is a section operation of the brain. You have all the nervous connection like that, all the blood vessels all connected to them. We have Dura Mater, we have arachnoid matter, we have pia mater, we have arachnoid, we have pia arachnoid, we have leptomeninges, which are the meninges that cover the brain. This is cerebral vein. We have cerebral vein. So this one shows you the matters of all the brains. So this is section of the brain. If you are going to be a neurologist, this is what you are likely to be seeing in your life by the time you start doing your job. So this is another diagrammatic representation of section of the brain to see some ventricle section in the brain. So you remember that at the back of the stem cell, you see that we have all those line of ventricles. So this is the fourth ventricle, the fourth one. We have the third ventricles, we have the first ventricles, all those ventricles. This is the first ventricles along this part. Are you getting me? This is the third ventricles. So we have the choroid plexus along this part. This is this tiny rubbish here. So they are there like that. There are so many structures that are very difficult to recognize, but as a biologist, you must ensure that you exercise higher patience to ensure that you actually recognize them and look at the way they are. Are you getting me now? So I said that the foci are the infolding, the line of infolding. All this line of infolding in the brain, they are called foci. F-U-L-C-I. Why the line of smooth region are called sulci? S-U-L-C-I. Sulci and foci. So I have cleared that with you, with all those things. So this is the evolution sequence of brain in some living organism. We have brains of different vertebrates seen from the above, modified from the catch. This is one man. So bonefish, we have bony fish, amphibians, amphibians, which is frog. So here we have species. We know evolution trend in the vertebrate from species to the amphibians, from amphibians to reptile, from the reptile to the ape, from ape to mammal. So this is the evolution of their brain. There is evolution in their heart structure as well. There is evolution in their brain structure. We are going to this section. We are dealing with brain. If it is heart, for circulatory system, we are going to look at evolution of the heart structure. So we can see different parts like that and how it reduces to all over. Look at this one here. It is equal to this. It is equal to this. It is equal to this. It's equal to this. So this is the last one, the mammal. This is the species, fish. This is the amphibians. This is reptile. The reptile they use in this case is the frog. It's enough frog. They don't name the reptile. The amphibians is frog. They have two life. They can live both land and water. Amphibians too. Okay. So this is reptile. This is ave. This is brain of dove. Why this is brain of dog. This is brain of dog. So you can work with the brain of other animals to see what their brain look like, and you can be able to identify different structures as it is in every one of them. So when we now come to the brain have three major parts. This is overall structure that is very important: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain, in which we have seen part of those. In the forebrain, we have cerebrum, we have frontal lobe, we have, for intelligence, we have parental lobe, we have temporal lobe, we have occipital lobe. So inside the forebrain. So on the forebrain as well, we have thalamus, we have hypothalamus. So there is midbrain like that. In the midbrain, there is stem cell. That stem cell consists of what? Of medulla oblongata. You can be writing it down. It's not air. Medulla oblongata as well as pons varoli. I have shown you to you in the video. In the midbrain. In the hindbrain, we have cerebellum. We have okay. So no. This should be not part of the place. This is part of the midbrain. This one is not part. This one is only for hindbrain, cerebellum. I have corrected that. Please take correction. Okay. So now we have frontal lobe. These are the lobe at their function as well. So now the reason why I show you this image is to show you the section that separates the frontal lobe as well as parental lobe. That one is motor and one is sensory. That middle section. So the motor is very close to the frontal, while the sensory is very close to the parental lobe. Please take note. So we have spinal cord, and when we are talking about spinal cord, what are they? The spinal cord run in the spinal column. We know that. They say that spinal cord. Let me take my white pen. Spinal cord is a white tissue that locates inside the vertebral canal by passing through the neural canal. Yes, it is surrounded by three meninges. We know that. Cerebrospinal fluid is a clear water fluid that surrounds the brain. And what? Remember cerebrospinal fluid. It is common question in examination, please. It is an ultrafiltrate fluid, ultrafiltrate of the blood plasma, and contained within the subarachnoid space, that is under the arachnoid. And over the what? We have pia mater, arachnoid mater. So it is subarachnoid, under the arachnoid, but pia mater. We have PA, Dura Mater, pia mater, as well as arachnoid mater. So it is over pia mater, but under arachnoid mater. The cerebrospinal fluid is produced by the what? By the choroid plexus. We have seen the diagram of choroid plexus in the brain diagram. I don't know, maybe it is air or somewhere else. Maybe I have passed it or I have not. But I saw something called that particular choroid plexus. Yes, this is it. I know I will find it. You see, choroid plexus, cerebrospinal fluid production. So that is to say, you can look at this, that structure that I'm telling you that is very difficult to identify. It is the one that's producing cerebrospinal fluid. If you want to remember, core means color, choroid plexus. Plexus is from the word complex. So plexus, like that. You can see where that thing is located in the brain. Sorry, that is the one that's responsible for production of cerebrospinal fluid, which can be found in the what? Two lateral ventricles. We can see that it's very close to the ventricles. It is within the ventricles, okay? And in the roof of the third and fourth ventricles. That is, it is above those third and fourth ventricles, and I've shown you the third and fourth ventricle. The CFC, cerebral function as protection, buoyancy, as well as homeostasis and clearance of waste. This point is very, very important. Please note. So this diagram shows you the diagram of spinal cord, where they are, as well as our pia mater or the meninges in the brain. You can see the outer one is what? Dura Mater, arachnoid mater, as well as pia mater. So the order is DAP. DAP. The order is what? DAP. DAP. So the inner one is what? Pia mater. You know that cerebrospinal fluid is subarachnoid, and then it is over pia mater. To show you that, okay, the pia mater is the inner one, while the what? Arachnoid mater is the second to the last. So the middle one, and where does this fluid, cerebrospinal fluid, where does it flow? It flows in between what? Arachnoid mater and where? Pia mater. So it is flowing in between this gap here. And that is your what? Spinal cord with the reflex arc. Don't worry, we are going to see the reflex arc. So this is your spinal cord, this is spinal column. You can see all the spinal nerve emanated all around from this process like that. So you can see the label diagram. This is spinous process. When we get to the supporting system, which is skeletal system, we are going to discuss everything about bone. We have a very long way to go in biology, so we are going to take everything step by step. So we have peripheral nervous system here. So in the peripheral nervous system include all the nerves that branch out. I'm so sorry that this video is long, and it's very, very important because we don't have much time. It is just 1 year course, so that we have to look at how to bring everything to about 90% completion, so that you will be able to prepare fully for your examination. Peripheral, I have told you the meaning. Nervous system include all the nerves that branch out of the brain and spinal cord. That is it. And extend to other parts of the body, including muscle and organ. Each part of the system play a vital role in how information is communicated throughout the body. The peripheral system allows the brain and spinal cord to receive and send information to other areas of the body, which allows us to react to stimulus in the environment. The peripheral nervous system itself is divided into two parts: the somatic nervous system as well as what? Autonomic nervous system. Please be always vision that particular classification. Somatic nervous system, NS, is responsible for carrying out sensory and motor information because it has both afferent and what? Efferent nerve system. Remember, information to and fro from the what? Central nervous system, and transmit sensory information as well as what? Voluntary movement. Now, this is the system contains two major parts in neurons: motor neurons, also called what? Efferent neurons. Okay, motor neuron carry information from the brain, spinal cord to muscle fiber. So when you see a diagram that give you nerve attached to muscle, that is motor system. Okay, it is called efferent neurons, but now motors carry information to the brain throughout the body. You can read by yourself. These motor neurons allow us to take physical action in response to stimulus. We have sensory neurons as well. It's called afferent neuron. Sensory neurons carry information from the nerves to the central nervous system. It is what I told you. I've given you the ideology. The central nervous system is the brain and spinal cord. What brings information into it is sensory. What takes information out of it is motor. Okay? It is these sensory neurons that allow us to take sensory information and send it to the brain and spinal cord. So we have autonomic nervous system, the one that you cannot control. The autonomic nervous system is a part of the peripheral nervous system that's responsible for regulation of involuntary body function. Involuntary body function, because it is autonomic. autonomic, such as blood flow, heartbeat, digestion, and breathing. Anything that you cannot capable of control. Are you getting me? In other words, it is autonomic system that control the aspect of the body that are usually not under voluntary control. This system allows this function to take place without needing to consciously think about them. You don't need to know maybe they are happening or not. Are you getting me now? The autonomic system is further divided into two parts, which are what? Parasympathetic. This help maintain normal body function and conserve physical resources. Once a threat has happened, this system will slow the heart rate, slow the breathing, reduce blood flow of the muscle to the muscle, and constrict the pupil. You remember? This allows us to return our body to the normal resting state. Sympathetic system, by regulating the fight or flight response. The sympathetic system prepares the body to expend energy to respond to environment threats. When action is needed, the sympathetic system triggers a response to accelerating heart rate, increasing breathing rate, boosting blood flow to the muscle, activating sweat secretion, and dilation of pupil. So these are all types of different peripheral nervous system and how they emanate from the cerebral nervous system in narrating into your different part of the body. Okay, so they give you different kind of Broca plexus, all different kind of plexus. With this one, we have cerebrum, cerebellum, brainstem, and spinal cord. That is part of the word central nervous system, CNS. We have the cranial nerve, that is vagus, that emanated from the brainstem to the cranial region. We have to this is where biology word is complicated by joining many words together. We have thoracoabdominal nervous system, which has our intercostal for subintercostal. We have hypogastric. So don't worry, those words we are still going to analyze it. We know those words by etymology and by breaking them down into pieces of what they are, so that we can take one by one and remember them. By the time we want to remember them, we can put them together by remembering the individual parts. So action is response to stimulus. Action is what? Response to stimulus. So let us now look at action. We have reflex action. We have reflex action, which is involuntary action. We have voluntary action. This reflex action, which are involuntary, are regulated by what? Reflex arc in the spinal cord. So they are autonomic. They are self-doing. You are not concerned. They don't need your any permission to be taking place. Response to stimulus, they are very fast. The response is always the same. The action is unconscious. Example of them is what? Nail jacking, eye blinking, throw of body from the hurt object. Anything that can hurt you, the way you draw from it is by what? Reflex arc. The part traced by the reflex arc is called the part traced by reflex action is called reflex arc. The part traced by reflex action is called reflex arc. What about actions that are voluntary? They are intentional. They are slow compared to reflex action, e.g., getting a glass cup of water, decision on what to eat, and decision to get rich before marriage. They are those things. So this is the typical reflex arc. It's very complex, but I want to show you that it's very something that you can know. So, but this part here, I think I'm not going to let you go into the details of this, but if you want to go into the details of this, you can pause the video and look at each part one by one. But you know that for every system, there must be sensory, there must be relay, there must be motor for the complete impulse transmission to be completed. So this is the end of everything about central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system. Thank you for listening. ABP.